with Renee.
Yo. We wait all week and all day for more. Saturdays with Renee.
All right, what's up, world? Welcome back to Black Liberation Media and episode 110 of Saturdays with Renee, featuring Renee Johnston. I'm Jared Ball, and as you can see, we got the all-stars here, Mtume Gant and Geechee Yog. Please like, share, subscribe, support the Patreon. Links in the show description. Put this in your socials. What's up, good people?
What's going
What
on?
up? What up? What up?
Yo.
I always feel like it's like a big deal when we can get Geechee and Ntume on a Saturday. Because
Oh, it feels like it.
Ntume's life is more
that
chaos
Voltron.
than anybody.
I mean, she's gonna be walking in here in about an hour, so she's the embodiment of chaos at almost 2 years old.
That's what they do. They bring chaos.
Is it gonna be like? Isn't that is a newscaster who were like talking, and then the baby just came in there, and then the wife came in there.
It might happen. It literally would be if it happens. You would see a little head just run. Like behind me, it would go past that bookshelf. If it does happen, it might be like that. So,
I have a clip. My husband, does the football stuff, and he was recording something, and Naz was like, I don't know, he must have been like 2 years old, and so I'm recording him, and all I see is a ball go like rolling by, and I was like, oh shit, here it comes. Here it comes. And Chris has no idea, he's just talking, and then all of a sudden here comes Naz running by. I was like, there's the clip. There we go. That's what they do, man. That's what they do. So we have a full show that we try to do regularly, but it is not often this full, but I'm all for it. If we can first bring up the BAP comrades. So we've got Justin and Tag and Brittany here, and they're going to quickly talk about an upcoming event that we wanted to help to, bring out and tell folks about so that they could sign up and be a part of the conversation. So I will, Justin, if you want to start, and then maybe we can quickly do an intro for everybody. And then I just realized I have to go grab the link for the actual event, so we can pull that up as well. But if you want to go ahead and start and intro yourself, and then you can popcorn it to whoever you want to go next.
Okay, better. All right. Good morning, everybody. Justin Lang. I'm here in Pittsburgh. And he, him. Going to look to talk today about the National Black Liberation Movement Unity Initiatives event we're going to do on Monday night. And we'll get more into that, but the title of it is Intestine Enemies, Internal Colony. Look at anti-colonials from the internal colony perspective. So I just really appreciate getting a moment to be on here. Thanks, Renee, and thanks to everybody here on the show. And I'll kick it to Brittany.
Peace. Good morning. I'm off camera because my niece just thinks every time I'm on camera, it's her time to be on camera. So, but I'm grateful to be here. I'm grateful to be a part of being able to share what the conversation is going to be about on Monday. Because, I know our folks are tired of hearing this talk, but these conversations need to happen in order for the importance to be emphasized and to be communicated around, us coming together and being a united front. So yeah, I'll yield there and pass it to Tack.
Much appreciated, comrade. What's doing Good morning, everyone. Tag here repping with NBLM Unity by way of the campaign to bring Mumia home, as well as the Spirit of Mandela. Great to be with y'all.
Thank you.
And what's good, everybody? Just quickly, I didn't realize he was going to be on. I just saw a tag this week up in Brooklyn, so that was great, and good to see you again. And everybody else, welcome. Good morning.
I just want to quickly point out that Jared has again come to New York and not fucking called somebody. And I'm not really clear like how these things happen, that you are 30, 35 minutes from me and a sister don't get a phone call. Like
Because I wasn't even, and Tag can attest to this, I wasn't even there I barely was there for the length of even that one event. And then I was right back on the train up to Albany. So I do apologize for the violation. But I do have corroboration on screen that I was not there long.
I'm just saying, I just feel like if I was in Pittsburgh and I didn't at least send a note that said like, yo, I'm not here, but I can't stay, but I'm in Pitt.
I didn't
if
check
I was in
right.
Baltimore, I just feel like that's mad rude. I'm joking. I'm just messing with you, Jared.
I'll get there. I'm an evolving project. I'll get there.
Sorry, I didn't mean to distract y'all. I take every moment I can to give Jared a hard time. So let's talk about the event. I will drop the link in the chat for folks to show up so they can sign up for the Zoom, because there is a Zoom option. Is it totally online? Is there an in-person thing happening?
No, it's totally online.
All right. So the Zoom link is now in the chat, folks. I will make sure that we add it to the show notes. And then as you all talk about what exactly is happening and the purpose for the event, I will track down the graphics so that we can pull it up and show it to everybody.
Okay, great. Okay, well, maybe I'll start it and then we can just all build this out. Okay, so the National Black Liberation Movement Unity Initiative has been going on for a few years. It really was started by the Black Workers for Justice, and I think a couple other orgs as well, BAP and the Corporation Jackson, I think were there, at least in the early stages, to get it going. And I came on in 2023, and we've just been working on, well, what will the work of the formation be? And so one of those is political education, and there's a couple other ones that we're trying to develop around a National Front Against Fascism and building political power. But this political education working group is one that Tag and Brittany and I are on, and there's a few other comrades on that process as well. Alita Touré, Mama Ayo, Alita Touré from Parable of the Sower, and Mama Ayo from the Provisional Government Republic of New Africa, and then Lisa Quinn from NBUF. I think that's all of us. And so anyway, so the political education piece, we're working through our principles of unity. The first one is anti-colonialism, and we're trying to look at anti-colonialism though from the perspective of an internal colony. A lot of organizations, we have the principles of unity. When we brought our first idea for how we were going to do this, we got a lot of feedback from some of the elders that, you're talking about anti-colonialism as though it's all happening out there. You're really looking at it as though, you're looking at Kwame Nkrumah, you're looking at, maybe Walter Rodney, but we have our own anti-colonial struggle right here, and it's ongoing. And so we thought, that's probably something that a lot of us probably could do more to think about, that there is this history of anti-colonialism from here. And so then tried to put together this session that would start about what does it look like to talk about it from that perspective and try to normalize that as the way we think about it. I'll just stop there and see if Tag and Brittany have more to add about what we're trying to do, how we got here.
I'll add my little piece here because Justin and Tag are a little more eloquent. But I think, firstly, just as organizers and seeing in real time how challenging it is to explain, much less show examples or point out how how effective decolonization was and the work it takes to decolonize. I think it's all of a piece in trying to gain back or trying to help our people gain back their awareness, much less their consciousness, so they can, decolonize and then forever be on the side of anti-colonialism. So these, again, these discussions are lengthy because of all of the work that needs to go into the intergenerational part, from reaching my niece's age from like 10 to 11 to preteens, teenagers, and even adults that, we, um, family, co-workers, other comrades, it's a lot of work. So I I appreciate these sort of discussions because it allows, if our people are willing to give the time, it allows for us to have these sort of discussions in bigger spaces, or to just be all gathered in one space to have this conversation all at once, and to start putting these thoughts in their minds to be more aware of what colonization looks like and how it has materialized in our day-to-day lives. So yeah, I appreciate um, political education and um, the fact that it continues to be something important because of the um, anti-intellectualism we see, happening with our history, and just you know it being perceived as our story isn't important. So I appreciate the push for political education as self-defense, so then we can reverse it and use that self-defense, or use political education to defend ourselves from colonialism moving forward. I'll yield there.
No doubt, and I fully echo my comrades on all of that. And just to say that, and I also rep National Jericho. I didn't fit it in the intro look, but I don't want to be remiss and not rep for National Jericho movement as well. And a lot of the work that we've been doing, especially of late, especially as we're in this process of building the People's Senate, has been around streamlining, these works. How can we make all of the work that's going on that much more accessible, uh, that many more points of entering the work, points of ingress into the work, without too much complication. There's a lot of chaos being spread all the time. So with this series on the principles of unity, really breaking down just kind of some of the fundamental questions that undergird our politics and the politics that we're looking to share and build upon, with Black New African masses out here in the internal colonies, and in the belly of the beast. And that speaks to this title of Intestine Enemies. We have these freedom fighters, these great organizers who are breaking down this language of anti-colonialism and this history. And part of streamlining that is really bringing in a grounded way, how is this colonialism that goes back all these centuries, that spreads across all of these geographies, how does that relate to the day-to-day lived experience of those of us here, under domestic colonialism? That hinge is not always as clear. And so really wanting to set that framework in a clear and accessible way. And so we were thinking about Dr. Gerald Horne, and his, uh, radical historical work, as somebody that just is constantly dropping some of these terms that help us to, help to encapsulate what's going on, digging into the archives. And so came across that term of intestine enemies as part of in his trilogy on the founding, of the U.S., particularly the counter revolution of 1776, which is the first in the trilogy, but the latest, in the sequence of that founding process, going from the 1500s, 1600s, 1700s. And I'll just share a quick portion from that text where he brings in this term of intestine enemies, and I think it will help to clarify where he says he's talking about a storm that occurred in Jamaica around this time, and how the first concern of the colonizers were the so-called intestine enemies, or the enslaved captive African population. And it says, of course, said a contemporaneous account, the quote, first fears were concerning our slaves, those irreconcilable and yet intestine enemies of ours, who are not otherwise our subjects than as the whip makes them. And it goes on, but just that as kind of a snapshot of really helping to zoom into the character of the warfare that we're up against in terms of colonialism and these internal colonies in particular, as a population that is constantly being subject to their attempts at capture, and the fact that creates certain dangers for these colonizers that put us under particular targeting.
Yeah. If I could just add one thing before we close, that and what we'll try to do, just to build on what Tag was saying and then what Brittany shared before, is then put this in the context of the specific work of the organizations. So Ashaki is going to be moderating from Black Workers for Justice, and then how does anti-colonialism look in the context of the Republic of New Africa? How do they frame that? Then Jalil Muntakim from Spirit of Mandela. What does it look like? Brother Jalil talks about decolonizing programs. So how does that actually get applied? And then the same thing with our brother Khalid Rahim and the New African Independence Party. What does it look like? So we're going to try to have this discussion around, in terms of NBLM working to build this coalition of organizations, and then us thinking about these terms in the context of our work, and then hopefully invite people to consider joining NBLM and figuring out together how we apply these principles of unity.
That's dope. I have, of course, like 3 meetings on Monday, but I think I'm like, can I get in for like the first hour and then go to my next meeting? So just some like quick questions about the event itself. Folks need to sign up on the Zoom. Will it be recorded? Will folks be able to access it after the meeting is done? Is that going to be?
Yeah, I you know what? I believe so, but I don't want to say that with assurance because I don't think we actually resolved that. That's a question we still need to get straight. So we'll just cross our fingers on that, but we'll,
okay.
Yep.
And then I'll follow up with you direct, Justin, because I feel like this is a good, we need to do a follow-up conversation on this. Like once the panel happens, we can circle back and talk about like, what are the next steps? How can folks who are in different organizations get involved? What's it going to look like kind of on the ground? But for me, getting people to understand that we still live in a colony is a massive, like, it has to be part of the work. And I feel like it's something that we talk about consistently, like here on Black Liberation Media, consistently on Saturdays, I know. And it's fascinating to me how many people don't understand that we still live in a colony, like we're still colonized, and how many people just don't quite put that together because they think we live in this land of the free.
Well, what maybe we can talk about this when we get in another time. But I do, I'm a Black Studies major, and I actually would say in our program in Pittsburgh, I don't feel like, even though we might have read Black Power, I don't think we spent a lot of time on the concept. And one of the reasons we're trying to lift it up is because I don't think that and the people who are here are elders. I don't think that's a mistake either. I don't know that that the concept actually ended up living on very well into the era I came in. And then with so much anti-racism work, I think that became, we understood things as systemic racism, structural racism, and then we began to fight those things. So I appreciate myself being introduced to the work. It wasn't like I was thinking anti-colonialism 10 years ago. I was thinking that was an external thing as well.
Yeah, interesting. All right, so that's it. We're gonna put it on tap. We'll bring y'all all back. We'll have a conversation, talk about what the next steps are. Jared, if you don't mind, there's a Google Drive doc in the private chat. That's the graphic for the event.
Yeah,
pull that up. Is it doable to pull it up or no?
it is, and the link is already in the show description.
Dope.
So folks can check that out. But there is well, that's not what I meant to share.
But no, that's it. That's the graphic.
I know,
That's the visual.
I know, but right, it doesn't matter. But that's the whole point. The point is it's being shared. That was and just quickly, just 2 cents, very quickly. Not that we often disagree, Renee, but this is a slight disagreement. I'm not shocked at all. To Justin's point, internal colonialism as an approach has been, I think, intentionally discouraged in academic spaces. Popular Black studies has I think chosen a more accessible rebranding, and it's something that I am increasingly having a problem with. But primarily the internal colonialism theory, I think, was discouraged here in the United States because it immediately forces you to relate and connect the African experience here in the United States to all other colonial experiences around the world, the rest of the diaspora. And it to borrow from Dr. Clark, returns Black America back to its appropriate place on the world stage, as opposed to being some distinct and fully isolated. Not that we don't have our own particulars here, but sort of de-isolate us or unisolate us is part of its goal, and I think that's why it's been. And I've actually found the academic claims around justifying its removal to be insufficient and unsupportable. So I'm glad to see this work being done, and I salute you all and commend the continued struggle around the concept. So right on.
And I don't know that we disagree. I think I just use the word surprise a lot when I get irritated that people.
I'm trying to create controversy for views, Renee. I'm trying to generate algorithm hostilities. Didn't y'all see Chad and Renee fighting?
Fought on screen.
That's gonna be the headline of the clip. Fight. But no, and by the way, I don't know, when we have less guests, I don't want to, again, sully the situation with my petty. But there was a more or less recent attempt to invite a popular scholar in Black studies to have a discussion around our disagreement with another scholar. We all three disagree or approach the concept differently, and this person was not interested. So I think that's part of a problem here. There wasn't even interest in being willing to defend their criticism of a theoretical approach so anyway, again, salute to you all for doing that work.
Thank you, Justin. I appreciate you reaching out. Tag, nice to meet you. You're in Brooklyn, so this means I got to figure out how to find you directly. And Brittany, thank you for joining. Thank you for the information. And we will you'll hear from me so we can circle back and talk more about this later, but I appreciate you all. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Take care, everybody. Peace. Yeah.
I got to figure out how to manage being in like two Zoom meetings at a time. Is that doable? Is it possible? No.
Your phone and the computer.
I mean, we're not without being trifling to one or the other meeting.
Yeah, I'm trying to think if I can be trifling to the one that I feel like I don't know why we're having this meeting. and then I can stay on the panel for like a longer time, maybe.
Sounds like Renee is advocating for AI.
Oh Lord.
I don't mean to lay that out there, but I'm just.
Or what students did during COVID, where they just put like a head, right? You know, like they were in class. Remember all that? Remember during lockdown?
Oh yeah, it was terrible. The worst though was when I had a young man show up without his shirt on though.
Oh
yeah.
Brutal.
I had a similar in bed, no shirt.
Had to be like, my guy.
Oh,
Hey.
that's brutal.
What are we doing here? Like it was a complete, it was a complete shambles.
Disaster.
But yeah.
So I'm really excited that we're gonna be joined by our next guest. Andre Easton is gonna join us to discuss his planning of a campaign to take on Richie Torres in New York. I just realized, Jared, do you still have the link to the campaign video? It's in the emails. So, all right, let me find that. This is y'all. It's been a bit of a chaos in my house these past couple of weeks.
And matched by my own. So like I've been.
But if you want to bring Andre up, I'll find the link to the campaign video, and then Andre, you can start by introducing yourself. Then we'll show the video, and then we can have some more.
Or just Andre, as we welcome you to the show, just reenact the video for us real quick.
Word for word, point for point too.
Yeah,
like,
exactly. Shot for shot. You know what I'm saying? Like
Jared, that reminds me of the point that you make about like how people put so much emphasis on like the actor, and the actor has like the least amount of say in the script and in the production and all that. Like, so yeah, just let me teleport my comrades into the studio right now, aka my son's bedroom, and have them shoot everything, get the lighting right. It'll be great.
No, but if you would again welcome and say a word or two about who you are and what this campaign is, and maybe a little bit about why it's important that you're challenging Torres.
Oh yeah, for sure. Well, super excited to be here. Long time listener, first time caller, I guess. I've been in. I got my Black Power Media shirt on, the throwback, the vintage one. But yeah, my name is Andre Easton. I'm a father, an educator, a worker in the Bronx, running for Congress for District 15. Challenging Richie Torres. I've been a member of the Bronx working class in the Black communities my entire life, and we are continuing to witness the erosion of our quality of life and being made to believe that the experiences that we have are as best as they can get, that the best we can hope for is just a continuation of the management of our decline. And I think if nothing else, the recent results of the mayoral race this week show that the working people of New York City are ready to not only experience a dramatic change to their lived experiences, but are ready to mobilize and to get involved and to actually work to create the power that actually has the capacity to transform their lives. So that's what we're really offering. And our campaign is all about meeting with people, energizing them, and providing them the tools and the framework to change the conditions wherever they are. So yeah, I'm happy to be a part of that. And I'm really glad to see all of you here. I mean, I'm really, really big fan. I watch him Tume all the time. Geechee, my guy, I still got to DM you back. I'm really glad that we get to be on the screen together. Shout out to you, Renee, as well. I feel like Renee's my auntie. Like I don't know if it's the glasses or it's the locks or something. We got some kind of relation.
So, Jared, do you want to show the video first, and then? Okay, cool.
Wait a minute.
Wall Street gets all the credit, but it's the Bronx that keeps our economy alive.
Hold on. Why can't I make it full screen?
Is YouTube
Oh,
hating
there
on
it
me? Is
is. I
that
was
what
going
it
to
is?
say. I was about to say, what
There we
happened?
All
go.
right.
Let's like the video while we're here.
Wall Street gets all the credit, but it's the Bronx that keeps our economy alive. We're the ones moving the trains and buses that power New York City. We're the healthcare workers who carried this nation through the pandemic. We run the grocery stores, deliver the food, and keep the shops open. And everywhere I look, I see people hard at work, producing this country's wealth. So how is it possible that I'm standing in the nation's poorest congressional district? My name is Andre Easton, and I'm running for Congress to represent New York's 15th congressional district to lower the rent and raise the wages. It's time to make sure that nobody pays more than 20% of their income on rent.
That's all it should take to keep a roof over our heads.
It's time to raise the minimum wage to $30 an hour.
Because our jobs deserve real pay.
As a public school teacher and a father of 3, I know that the real solution to rising violence and addiction in our streets is to give our youth a future. And that means fully funded schools, an end to student homelessness, free childcare, and guaranteed jobs for all.
Our bills are getting higher while the rich are getting richer.
And that's capitalism, a system where billionaires bribe our politicians to fund genocide in Gaza instead of what we know our people need. Capitalism will only lead to endless war, a dying planet, and economic catastrophe. We need a whole new system, one that funds life and dignity. That's socialism. Their system robs us. Socialism means taking back our economic and political power. The Bronx proves it every day. Our labor makes society run. It's time for us to run society.
Yeah.
That's dope. So I purposely didn't watch it because I wanted to be like hyped because I just knew.
Yeah.
First of all, the way that Andre says the Bronx, like, as a Brooklyner, and the fights that we always have, the Brooklyn and the Bronx, like it gives me life, man. I'm excited.
But let's get to the
This is
priorities. Keontae's on the priorities here. We need that pancake recipe.
Yeah, I'm a little mad that Andre has not hit me with that yet. I know Andre personally. I'm like, what up?
Bob's Red Mill. Those are gluten-free pancakes as well. You understand what I'm saying? So yeah.
That's dope. So I have so much. So here's what I'd most like to know, because as a person who has been asked a couple of times to run for stuff, to which my answer is always, oh hell no, right? What made you decide that you were going to take this on? Because this is a massive thing, right? Like it's a big thing to decide to run for anything, much less to run for Congress, much less to run against somebody who got a fairly, I mean, he definitely sucks, like in general, but he got pretty popular when he was running. They were quick to like point out the whole, like the Latino, the LGBTQA, like that whole thing. He was going to be part of the squad, which continues to be a disaster to this day. So this is a big thing that you're about to take on, and I am curious what made you decide to say yes.
Thank you so much for the question. I first I want to appreciate all the love that you all gave to the video. My comrades worked so hard to put that together, the time we spent filming. Shout out to my wife for giving me the cover to go out and actually do that and make it available to you all. But that's probably the most common question that I get asked is, what made me run? I think the Bronx deserves more respect than we've been given. And I think that just the experiences that I have in this community, working class community, Gun Hill Road, anybody familiar, how heavily, Caribbean this area is and just how vibrant it is. And to know that there are people that are literally just playing in our faces that are just happy to give us the bare minimum and never expect us to want or think that we deserve more. So I'm running because the Bronx, the people of the Bronx, the working class people of the Bronx and in this country more broadly deserve to live dignified lives. And we know that that is not possible under this two-party duopoly system. I think the question as to why I decided to run is an interesting question because I want to acknowledge that this is not an individual endeavor. I want to uplift at every possible chance that who I am and the decisions that I make are directly related to the centuries of struggle that working class people, that African people, that diaspora people have engaged in. Walter Rodney says that the only great men among the unfree and oppressed are those who struggle to destroy the oppressor. And for me to be a student of Rodney, somebody who understood the struggles of the people in the Caribbean and Jamaica, where my family's from, to want to engage in a struggle, I knew that the most effective struggle that any of us could wage is a struggle that is part of an organized effort. So it wasn't me that I woke up one day and said, I want to run for Congress. This was a decision that the party decided that was the best intervention for us to build power and to give the yearning masses of the working class, the Black and Latino people that comprise of District 15, to give them a real electoral option that does not pander to them, that does not infantilize them, that does not look down upon them. And I was honored to be chosen to be the representative and to be the face of the working class left socialist Marxist Leninist formation that is going to build the power for the people in this district.
Dope. And I don't know, Ntume, if you want to also jump in, because I did not actually say it out loud that you were running as part of PSL, right? And so I don't think I actually said that. And so I don't know if either of you want to talk just a little bit about that part of it, the party part, that you're not running on your own as independent, that it is part of a party struggle to try and bring socialism to the forefront, similar to the way that Claudia de la Cruz, when she ran for president, it was also in this mission of trying to bring socialism to the forefront of the conversation within U.S. politics.
Well, I'll let Andre explain that, and then maybe I can give some extra stuff around it. As a person who also lives in the district as well, we can talk about that.
Yeah. I mean, again, we sit and deliberate, and we want to make sure that all of the decisions that we make are things that, serve our broader interests. And yeah, I mean, really, it was an intentional choice to select this particular seat, knowing how the all of the contradictions in capitalism, whether it be wealth disparities, housing inequalities, we talk about asthma rates, child homelessness, educational underperformance, all of these things exist in spades in the Bronx, right? The Bronx is a site of the failures of capitalism in ways that it's hard to replicate anywhere else. So to start the struggle in the place where the people are most affected, where the voters feel most disenfranchised and participate the least, is an intentional choice, because if we are able to show the value and the effectiveness of socialist organizations, Marxist Leninist organizations in the Bronx, in the heart of the belly of the beast, across the street from the shining city, right, Manhattan, where we have all the billionaires and all of the contradictions. If the Bronx is able to embrace this idea of self-determination using socialism as a tool, then what's to say that we can't do this in South Carolina? What's to say that we can't do this in any other part of the country and broadly the world, right? So it's a very intentional and deliberate site of struggle that we've chosen, and we already know that the people are ready for it, and they just need an opportunity to engage with these principles and these ideas. And my job is to help bring people these ideas and to help them to feel familiar with the tools and use those tools in their workplace, in their schools, on the bus. Like, use these tools that have been created or through generations of struggle around the world.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing that I'll add is, like, part of the thing that we as comrades are always really committed to is, like, recognizing the qualitative shifts that are happening to the people, right? There are qualitative shifts that are happening to them where in repression and capitalism, the aggressiveness that is happening towards them and changing their conditions, but also the qualitative shifts in their recognition that maybe they don't have the word that capitalism is not working, but they have a consciousness or a subconsciousness, like they're understanding it. And we like to be there, um, in communication with them, helping them raise that consciousness, while at the same token also actually fighting to help better their conditions qualitatively at the same exact time. And it's not an easy task. So it's like, how do you recognize the qualitative shifts, but also address the qualitative shifts and help push the qualitative shifts towards, because we all know, I mean, I don't think there's anyone on this call right now who doesn't recognize that capitalism is not something that's ever going to save us. We talk about this all the time, and that we need a socialist system. We need a revolution of some type of sort. So we have to be in there. And that's why Andre stepping in this, I think, is just so important, because, and not just him as an individual, which I will vouch for as fantastic on all levels, but also just part of a situation and part of a group that is really trying to push this qualitative shift forward with the people in mind, first and foremost, and of the Bronx in this particular, which, I'll just say, I was born in the Bronx, lived out. I'm now back here in the Bronx, and it's deep. I don't think people really recognize, like, when he says, like, the Bronx has not been respected. It's real, and it's something that people talk about, like just casually, like the lack of respect that the Bronx gets. But the Bronx helps move this city forward. It is true. That line in that campaign video cannot be more true. And we've always known that. And everyone in New York knows that, right? And it's time that we help people, get in there and, Bronx stand up. Just Bronx stand up, get that energy up.
So, but it should be easy now, right? That Mamdani is mayor.
That's actually what my question was going at.
My bad, Geechee. Go ahead, man.
So I need to put my little history in there, and I feel grateful to be in this space with all y'all geniuses. So the last time, and I've been having this conversation with my grandmother. So my grandmother still our family still occupies the building on Dewey Avenue in Throsneck. And my mother grew up there. I was in her stomach when many times, but I'm New York adjacent. I'm from Charleston. But
Geechee's from everywhere. New York adjacent.
You just heard what I said.
Did you hear? I mean, what is this?
Oh, I love it. Nah. Don't hate on my boy, man. Let him cook. Let him cook.
No, he is. He's the most global African ever. I'm not. I'm just jealous. I'm just saying.
Soda, baby, soda. Soda.
He's gonna mess up the layout. Here's the layout. So last time, in my little small 42 years, Maurice Bishop was at Hunter College in June, like 4 months before I was born. Right now, a couple years ago, when I was still living in Costa Rica, I was asking my grandparents about, like, was y'all around when he was at Hunter College? It's like this many miles away, and like they don't know nothing about the New Jew movement, socialism, or anything, right? And so, kind of back to what the comrades have said earlier about, like, putting this conversation into the broader society, and that Marx, Engels, and Lenin will tell us that how we supposed to strategically use electoral politics. And then having Torres being like staunchly anti-communist and say a bunch of silly shit. I'm just curious, what is the everyday vibe like? I hear people say, like, I hear you say, like, people are ready for a particular thing, but like, what is the vibe like when you're on Fordham Road and Castle Hill and I mean, I don't know if you're in Throsneck, but if you over there, like, what is the vibe like in the response to what you're laying out? Especially because, again, you are able to articulate socialism before you even said socialism and capitalism. You already articulate policies that would point you towards a particular thing. So, like, I'm just curious what the vibe is like at this point.
Yeah, thank you for the question. I'm happy to answer it. I was out. There's a video we put up recently, and we included some of the interviews. But I was out on election day, just talking to people in my area, Gun Hill, Northeast Bronx. Talking to different workers, and I think part of the reason why Mamdani's embrace has been so shocking, I guess, not to borrow Renee's use of the word surprising, but it's taken a lot of people by surprise, mainly because so many people are ready for something different. right? And now, whether or not the different that they want is essentially socialism is up to the responsibility of the organizers to make socialism clear, right? Because we need to articulate in a very specific way what socialism is in ways that are utilizable by the cab drivers, right? Things that people can repeat on the train. People at the bodega need to be able to say and talk about what socialism really is, because there has been decades of underdevelopment of the consciousness of the people in the Bronx. So there was a woman that was walking by, an older Jamaican woman that I was trying to get an interview with, and she was like, "You already know who I voted for, right?" And I'm like, Who did you vote for?" She was like, the Indian boy, the one there," and she pointed at a sign that was on a post on a post of Zoran Mamdani, right? So this indicates a few things to us, right? That people are gravitating towards a shift qualitatively away from the politics as usual. And Zoran represents that in many ways to a lot of people, right? Whether it be his social media presence, the way that he would be on everybody's podcast, any streamer or anybody of any type of social influence had Zoran having real, regular New York conversations that endeared him to a lot of the workers in this area. But I think it would be premature to say that that in itself was enough to transform the consciousness and the conversation around what socialism is, particularly among the Black community, because so many of us are in a position where the majority of our energy and our effort is being pushed towards meeting our immediate needs. So we're thinking about what are the things that are going to help us right now. And if somebody comes out and says, "I'm going to give you free childcare, I'm going to give you fast and free buses, I'm going to, freeze the rent." If somebody says that to you in that, like in 10 seconds, yo, sign me up. If you're gonna give me that, sign me up. So I think that a lot of the workers here, a lot of the Black people in this area that I live specifically, are ready for a substantive change away from the status quo. But it does not necessarily mean that it's an automatic transition into socialism. Like, our job as the organizers is to go and explain how socialism can actually look, as opposed to just relying on the popularity of this one candidate in this one election in this one city in this one state, right? Like, we have to be able to popularize the language of socialism and make it observable and tangible to the people in this country.
Definitely. I'd like to one fight about this like pretense that Brooklyn is not also like making New York go. I'd like to point out that I lived at the start of the 2 and the 5 train, which both end in the Bronx, and I feel like we like bookend, like we bookend all the things, right?
We all city, Renee. We're gonna bring back the graph talk, right? You had to hit every end of the line, right?
That's what I'm saying. That's what
to
I'm
get all city.
saying.
You had to hit both ends of the line, not just
Listen.
241. You had to go all the way to Brooklyn College to be all city.
Plus the man who and try to dismiss all our revolutionaries, Steve Biko and Martin Luther King. He went to Fordham University for a little while before he got kicked out. So I think that proves the Bronx is Denzel Washington.
I also now think that Andre and I might actually be related, because I'm like, I mean, I feel like my grandparents lived off of Gun Hill Road and we're both Jamaican. And now I'm like, now I got to start tracking stuff down and figuring out like if you're like a third cousin, because I have like 100 and something. My father had like 100 first cousins. And so like, it's possible. It's possible.
I think that would be fitting. This feels like a family reunion. I feel like I'm chatting with my cousins right now. Like, this is but yeah, Gun Hill Road, Seymour Avenue. My grandmother, Valentine Easton, R.I.P., was a famous like baker. Like, she would, I remember her making like beef patties out the oven and like people lining up outside to come get them. Like she was like, so it's very likely, like as big as New York City is, it's very small, right? Like almost every black person I know has a touch point in the Bronx, right? And that's not
Right.
like, and this is not my Bronx chauvinism showing. That's just, a consequence of the colonial nature of how this country is constituted, right? Like we are concentrated in certain areas due to the migration patterns of, like also everybody I know in the Bronx got family in the South, right? Got North, like my wife is from, she was born in Brooklyn, but lived in Houston, got family out in West Virginia, in North Carolina, South Carolina, like all over. So like we are not that separate from each other. And I think that these are great opportunities to show how interwoven and interconnected we all are. Shout out to Steve Biko and Black Consciousness. That's my guy. Like I literally just finished teaching yesterday in my class, what Black consciousness was and like how it relates to our students today. So favorite subject. And shout out to I write what I like, aka, you know what I mean? Inspiration for I mix what I like. But yes.
That's dope. Um, so so moving on now to like how this is going to work. Like, can you talk about what the campaign strategy is going to be? The one thing I'll say, for as many doubts as I have about what Mamdani will actually turn into when all is said and done come January, the one thing I will give the man credit for is he was everywhere. Like I would say, like the most random places ever, people would be like, Mamdani showed up. And I was like, this dude, I don't know like who's driving for him or what. Like he gets everywhere. So I'm curious, especially given that the upside of running for Congress is you have a smaller district. Like you don't have to get all through the city. You don't have to talk to everybody. You have like a central location. But I'm curious, like what is the strategy as you move forward, going into this campaign? Like what is the thought process?
Really good question. Again, thank you. I think there's a few threads that I want to be able to pull on. One, Mamdani's victory is an expression of the desires of the working people in New York City and around the country. Now, his candidacy and his actual tenure as a mayor is going to be pushed up against a set of different forces, right? He's a socialist mayor in the heart of the capitalist empire. So there will be forces working against him. But one thing that Donnie's successful campaign illustrates to all of us is that when the masses of people are organized and committed to a clear vision, that there is no force on earth that can stop them, right? I saw that billionaires spent upwards of $50 million to try to astroturf, to create these fake Black organizations with these mailers that they would send out that would show that DSA is this scary thing. And again, it's a part of the incessant and intentional disrespect for the Black community and the Black workers, because they presume that they can talk down to us, can talk at us, and impose upon us a definition of a thing that we are fully capable of understanding and defining for ourselves, right? So they're trying to tell us that DSA stands for don't trust this socialist, scary agenda, some kind of foolishness, as if we don't know who Maurice Bishop was, as if we don't know who Michael Manley was, as if we don't know who Malcolm X or yeah, I mean, how long of the list of socialist African fighters do we have to go in order for us to be able to recognize that at any point, as Asada Shakur reminds us, that Africans were rising up. They were never fighting for capitalism. They were fighting for some version of self-determination, some version of control over their resources. And we recognize that popularity to be socialism. So the thing that Mamdani did that reveals the possibility for us that are independent socialist organizers is that people are in a space where they're ready to be activated, where they are ready to be involved, where they are ready to move outside of their normal behaviors or patterns of just working and shopping and repairing themselves enough to go back to work to labor for someone else's wealth. People are moving away from that as their destiny. The workers in this city of all backgrounds deserve more than just the ability to work in order to survive and enrich somebody else. We deserve to be in full participation with the anti-imperialist struggle taking place all around the world. We deserve that. It is our right. And the only way for us to be able to do that is through organization. So, accompanying the campaign, accompanying the canvassing, accompanying the website, accompanying the beautiful visuals that I have to continue to uplift, shout out to my comrades, accompanying all of that, we will always be, giving touch points for people to meet us in the streets, to meet us in their communities, so that they can actually talk about what the vision for their future looks like. And they can actually be involved in shaping what that vision looks like, right? So today, after I get off the Zoom with y'all, which I really hope we never have to end this. But when I do, at 3 o'clock today at 861 Girard Avenue, we're going to be having our first volunteer meeting right outside of Yankee Stadium. And we're going to be talking to people about the first 2 points on our platform, which is lower the rent and raise the wages, right? What does that look like in your community, in your neighborhood? Like really putting the platform in the hands of the people, because that is one of the things that Mamdani showed us is really powerful. When he was talking to people, he was having these conversations. He wasn't just talking about like, these abstract policies. He was putting the policy in the hands of the people. He was talking about making buses fast and free. You talk to him for 10 seconds and that's in your mind. Now you can go about your day with the policy in your mind. We need to take these ideas out of the lofty abstract space and put them into the hands and the minds and the tools, give them the tools to the people. Let them use socialism in a meaningful way and not in some abstract, bastardized way that the ruling class has continued to impose on them. Like, let people be the definers of their own reality. That's what we're inviting people to do. That's what we're offering them to do. So on November 8th, November 15th, and November 22nd, we will be meeting in the Bronx, talking to people, giving them opportunities to organize and to breathe life into this program, because these media platforms are owned by the billionaires, right? They can throttle and shut down a post that I put up. I can make a video inviting people to come out, and they can shut it down and make sure that nobody sees it. But what they can't shut down is me talking to my neighbor about the program and the meeting that we're going to have, and me going out in person to talk to. They cannot shut that down, right? So we are offering people more than just the ability to participate in an electoral campaign. We are offering people an ability to take an active role in shaping the reality of the world and the life that they live in.
Really quickly, Andre, I really appreciate that. That actually, and I think a question is coming out of it, but maybe it's more of a stimulant for you to respond, especially building off of what both you and Ntume talked about, of notating or noticing the qualitative shift and recognizing it, and then knowing what to do with it. And you kind of, I think, push through the critique or the issue where people talk about, parliamentary cretinism, or as August Nimp said, voting fetishism. People can feel like they're activated by just voting for Madani, and we won and he's going to do it all. But you're kind of inviting people in, as you and Claudia would say, touching grass. I'm curious if you, and again, I don't know if this is more so of a question, but I'm curious if you heard the critiques of Mandani, and people have called him everything from a Zionist to y'all strategy for utilizing maybe establishment folks who are sympathetic to, because again, I don't know if people would actually call Mandani a socialist or whatever, I don't know. But if that person is an established elite who's sympathetic to the politics that y'all actually are rooted in and serious, I guess I'm curious with what that relationship is, of making sure that you are clear on we're going beyond this like electoral victory. When we're engaged in this, it's like way beyond just putting somebody in office.
Yeah, I definitely want to stress that Mamdani's enemies are my enemy, right? They are the enemy of the working class, right? Anybody that is opposing however we can describe the radical or not radical nature of his reforms, these are a popular expression, a popular expression of the desires of the broader working class, right? So if we can argue about whether or not they are enough or sufficient, right? but people want free childcare. They want free, fast and free buses. They want, affordable housing. I think what the ways that our campaigns are able to work off of each other is that, Mamdani put front and center the idea of affordability as one of the major crises in the minds of the workers in New York City. What we can do is to extend upon that and not just talk about the fact that it's unaffordable. There has to be an explanation as to why it's unaffordable, right? So, part of the things that we say is, the wealth of the Bronx is being stolen. Right. So it's not that it's just unaffordable because it's just a fact of life. It's just the nature of how society functions. The wealth of the Bronx is being stolen. And that begs the question of by whom? Right. And now we can have a more in-depth talk, a conversation about how the labor that we engage in on a daily basis is being exploited by our bosses. And I don't know a single worker that cannot relate to that. But we have to have an entry point where people can come in and start saying, well, this is what I'm experiencing. And we can help them to formulate an understanding as to why they're experiencing what they're experiencing, and then move forward to what to do about what you're experiencing. I really appreciate the conversation that you guys were having earlier about the internal colony, right? This idea that Black people consist of an internalized colony within the United States is a very powerful and meaningful concept, right? Shout out to Harry Haywood, Black communist, you know what I mean? But this idea is really useful because so many of us want to get to the point of creating our own institutions. But the question that I want people to think about is, can an internalized colony create anything that is not also itself subject to those same colonial controls and forces? We look at hip hop music, which was created in the Bronx, in the South Bronx, in District 15, by diasporic Africans using James Brown, funk, soul, and all of these different forces mixed with reggae, sound culture, putting all that together and created the most consequential art form in probably the last 50 years. Yet the ownership of that art form has never been in the hands of the people that created it. And I argue that that is due to the fact that the colonial relationship that Black people have to the broader society prevents them from owning and controlling the things that they create. If an enslaved parent gives birth to a child, that child is not free. That child is subject to the same forces of the parent. And we have to get to the point of decoupling and identifying what is the condition that orders and structures the life that we live in, and what are the meaningful, successful efforts and tools and mechanisms that people have used in the past to fight against and to defeat and to make progress against those forces. And that's why you always end up at Marxism. That's why you always end up at Leninism, because the people in Vietnam ask that question. The people in Cape Verde ask that question, right? And the answer comes back to the same spot. So the formation of what is needed to address the conditions of African people, of Latino people, of people that are of oppressed nationalities is the same. Indigenous people face the same enemy. Mamdani's policies are facing the same enemy. The billionaire class wants those policies to fail. And we need to be able to articulate and to be able to receive the people who may feel let down if Mamdani is unable to deliver on the promises that he made. Those people need a space to go to. Those people need tools and equipment to fight. And that's what we're offering them. So, yeah, of course, 100%. Winning a congressional seat in New York 15 would allow us to bring forth these really working class and important necessary issues. Beyond that, we need to have the political apparatus, the working masses organized in a way to make any policy that serves the working class realizable, actionable. That can only come through organized struggle. And that's really what we're talking about.
So this actually, I'm glad you asked that question, Geechee, because this brings up two things that one which came to my attention via DM yesterday, and the other one is something that has been plaguing on me probably in the 2 years since I've been deeply involved with the Green Party in New Jersey, which is is there a thought process with not blocking out other, I mean, your district is different, and listen, people might not like when I say this out loud, but Vega's a moron. So I like, Lord knows somebody needs to get him off the ballot. Anyway, I see you trying not to laugh. That's because you know I'm right, but it's all good. So anyway, but as we go into this new campaign season, like, Green Party New Jersey will obviously be working to try and run candidates in different parts of the state. We have been working actually fairly closely with PSL in multiple ways, rallies and organizing different events, so forth and so on. And I am curious as to your thoughts with working with other formations to make sure that we don't block each other out, because that is my, like in Jersey, that's my big concern. Is I would prefer that we all work together, because there's also a socialist party of New Jersey, right? And so all of these campaigns could run all different people in all of the districts and all block each other out, and then nobody wins, right? Or we can try and work together to ensure that we don't create an unnecessary like conflict or contradiction between two people that in the end are probably going to be fighting for the same strategies, policies, and things that are going to be for the betterment of the people. So I'm just curious if that has been part of the conversation, or if that's even something that has been part of the discussion.
Thank you for the question. Um, I did laugh when you made that comment about Jose Vega. Um, I I think the Bronx deserves to have a robust political life. I think having multiple candidates and campaigns available for them to choose from is ultimately a positive, a net positive. I think um, when the people actively investigate the offerings, their intelligence and their understanding of their conditions will drive them to make the decision that they feel best speaks to and has the potential to activate their desires. And as far as I know, as of today, I'm the only openly socialist independent candidate running for District 15. I saw recently that Michael Blake announced that he's running. I know that DSA may have Delorny Namorin, running a Black Caribbean woman under that platform. So there's going to be a number of options to choose from. And I think that that's, again, ultimately a good thing for the Bronx to have, their choice for who they want, because typically it's just been Richie and a few other fledgling, efforts. I think we need to be able to engage fully in participation, and democracy would necessitate that we have more than two choices. So I think that the people should do the investigation and to see which platform most resonates with them. I don't want people to vote for me because they hate Richie Torres. I don't want to be the candidate that people choose because they really hate somebody else. I think that has been the part of the political underdevelopment in this country, right? Like people are just hate voting. People voted for Trump because they hated what Biden was offering. They hated the status quo. I don't want people to vote for me because they don't want the other guy. I want you to vote for me because you feel that our platform is an expression of your desires as a working class person for the conditions that you want to see. I want you to vote for us because you believe that your children deserve a hope for the future, right? The current status quo that we have right now, it's seeing young people engaging. Like we're starting to see, we the fact that we've. I gotta calm down because I'm a
Look,
father.
I got you all fired up.
I'm a father of three black boys, and that means something very specific in a city where we witnessed, the 1990s, where there was an all-out assault on black young males. We witnessed stop and frisk where black boys were. It was open season on black boys, and this is something that is very close to me. The fact that we've internalized and normalized calling young black boys YNs as if they're not so much more than that. That bothers me on a way that I'm not. As a political candidate, I don't know if I'm able to fully express just how deeply it infuriates me. But I have to I have to say that it's important that we reimagine the way that we see ourselves and what is possible for us. So I think ultimately having multiple candidates and having platforms that are available for the working class to dissect and to chew on and to criticize is ultimately a positive, because consent is really at the heart of what socialism offers. It offers you the ability to give permission for the world to exist in the way that you want it to exist, as opposed to the current system that we have where all of our needs are dictated to us and the things that we're able to have access to. We can't even choose whether or not we have clean water, right? Because the billionaire class says we need to use that clean water so that we can run data centers, so that we can create ads using millions of dollars to reinforce racist, Islamophobic, ideas against the candidate who's offering the most ambitious plan for the working class, right? So we don't get to choose whether or not our water gets used for that. We don't get to choose whether or not our taxpayer funding gets to just go inside of a bomb to kill people in Gaza, or to further provide ammunition for the RSF, or to put the bullets in the guns of the Brazilian police officers that's murdering people in the favelas. We don't get to choose that. But socialism is about choice. Socialism is about giving you the ability to take agency over your life. And that is the only thing that has ever made positive change for the working class. It is when people take action, when the workers, the working masses, when the enslaved Africans on the plantations in America, when they took action, when they got armed, when they engaged in the political struggle, things changed for the better. When the Haitians took action for the betterment of their lived conditions, things happened. It shifted the world. When the oppressed people are armed with an ideology and an organization to move for their own destiny, to self-determine, there is no force on earth. There does not exist a force on earth that can stop a people that is organized and recognizes the clarity of their vision for a better future. Nothing is stronger than that. And the people in the Bronx know that very well.
Now listen, that's called my boy. You know nothing about that.
It's been a while since Jared broke out.
Yeah, Jared. I was about to call Jared the uncle because of the little screen thing. But you did a good job,
I think
Jared.
Jab's bars level, like his like the standard for bars, has gone up.
I think
well, it's also we got to keep a high standard, but it's also that for a while StreamYard and my computer weren't cooperating. So
that's true.
I fixed
true.
that. I think I fixed this situation.
So just real quick, just to clarify, and maybe it was the way I asked, but I agree that we should always have multiple candidates. You should always have options. You should always be pushing on multiple platforms, etc. My thought is, so Jersey is a little trickier, I think, because you don't necessarily, in Jersey, to run for a congressional seat, and I apologize, y'all, if it turns out I'm wrong, I will come back, but I feel like we had this conversation. We did this whole Green 13 thing. You don't necessarily have to live in your district to run in that district in New Jersey, right? So you can run for congressional seat 3, even if you live in congressional seat 2, I think. So for me, if Andre was running in congressional seat 2, it would be and this is just my opinion, it would be absurd for the Green Party to try and find a candidate to now run in that district. There's no need to create a space where people have to choose between candidates who are going to do the right thing for the people, right? And I'm more thinking about, how do we best set up a system where we can get multiple people in seats? Because if my candidate, who I think is equally strong to Andre, can run in District 3, then let them run in District 3. Andre runs in District 2. We don't have a conflict, and maybe both of you get in, right? So it's more of a strategic, like, how do we best work the system in order to allow for the most people to have the opportunity to fight the fight on a larger scale than it is to limit the possibilities for the people who actually have to make the choice. So I just wanted to make sure I made that clear, because even though I don't like Vega, like,
So you got me smiling again, man. They're gonna clip me and put me. They're gonna be in the comments. They're gonna be in the comments firing me up, man. Look. Listen, the people on the internet are mean. All right. I didn't know this, man. But on Twitter, they are very
wild.
mean.
Yeah, they're wild. They are wild. But there's a whole history behind that we don't actually need to get into. But there's an actual legitimate reason that I don't like him, and I don't think he's best for the people of the Bronx. And so, I'm just gonna put that out there as how I feel about it. People don't need to agree. That said, I just wanted to make sure that I had clarified that. I don't know if you want to respond to that at all.
No, no, no. I completely understand it. I think really what your criticism or it sounds like your frustration is, and please correct me if I'm wrong, is with just the electoral apparatus as it stands, right? In a
Yeah,
true
exactly.
democracy,
Exactly.
in a true democracy, you could have 100 candidates, right? And then the person that wins is the person that's best qualified. The person who mobilizes the most people behind their vision is the person that's going to win. So I think that the frustration that you're feeling with the way the thing works is by design, right? It was not designed as a true democracy. And I think that's also, and I wanted to make this point really quickly. That's also part of the reason why I think Zoran's campaign or even DSA use the D in front of the S, right? Because socialism is inherently a democratic process. It's a democratic system. The voter participation among socialist nations, it far surpasses that in quote unquote, these capitalist nations that are supposedly democracies, right? So the idea of foregrounding your socialist project as a democratic socialist project is itself a capitulation to the rhetoric that states that socialism is inherently not democratic. So I think that I want to believe that that is a strategic choice. I don't necessarily agree with that choice because it allows for people to take all sorts of liberty as to what socialism is, which further muddies the water and makes more confusion among people. Like we are capital as socialists, like we are explaining what it is. And socialism is a system where the economic and political power is in the hands of the working class. Full stop. Right. So we don't need to add democratic in front of it because if you're the working class and you have political and economic power, then you're the one that's in charge. That's not I mean, some people say it's a dictatorship of the proletariat, but that word dictatorship, we're not going to be able to save that word. We're not going to be able to bring that back, right? We're working real hard at trying to rescue the idea of socialism. But dictatorship of the proletariat, that's a term that, we could talk about that offline and in our conversations and we could, have some Uncle Nearest and like really chop it up, right? But in public discourse, because we know of the decades of anti-communism, we can't come out and say that. But socialism is inherently a democratic process. It's a democratic system that it requires the mass participation of the workers in the creation of the systems that meet their needs. So I think that, it's good that socialism is being destigmatized in a sense, but we should not treat it as a foregone conclusion that because Zoran Mamdani ran as a democratic socialist, that means that everybody is open to what socialism is as defined by us, right? As a system where the working class has the economic and political control of the society. Like we have to continue to make that alive and make that real in conversations over and over, in comment sections, in beauty salons and barbershops. Like we have to continue to bring this idea into the hands of the people.
I appreciate that, and thank you for being. I almost loathe to use the word, but that was a very diplomatic answer of Renee. Don't lose the point, and so I appreciate that because sometimes in my need to want something, right? Like I think it's right. I think it's an important point to point out that it is, and you are indeed correct. It is the system that's the problem. So I'm trying to navigate like how do we manage this system wide like non-democratic process that we are all living in to try and find a way to get some people actually making decisions who can actually serve some purpose, because this has been the long standing, as you know, my long standing conundrum of not voting, caring about electoral politics, not caring about electoral politics, like investing in a system that is inherently meant to prevent you from actually being able to do something to change the system that is killing you. But also recognizing at the same time that if people like you aren't there, right, then there's definitely no shot, right? So I would prefer, for as much as the system sucks, I would prefer for people to support you, to vote for you, to try and get you in the seat, despite all the shit that comes with working within electoral politics, because at least then you're there, right? And it's not just we got another black man there. We actually have someone who understands the deeply rooted problematic situation that we're in due to being in the belly of the beast and living under the guise of capitalism. And so, for people who undoubtedly will be in the comment section later saying that electoral politics is a waste of time and why are you doing this and blah, 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 I will point you back to my never ending thought process of, but if we don't try to put someone in, we're in the system, right? Like we can't, like we're here, we're in the belly of the beast, we're in the system, we're trapped within it. Like if we don't at least make an attempt to put someone in to try and break the system that exists, how do we change anything? And no one has yet to answer that question in a way that makes me feel like I'm wrong for advocating for, at the times when you find that there's someone who is running for a seat that can actually do something for the people, you should fucking support them. Full stop.
Tell those people to treat the comment section like the ballot. And don't cast it. Shut the fuck
up. See, y'all got me laughing and co-signing stuff that y'all gonna get me in trouble. But I do want to touch on that, and I apologize if I'm like dominating or taking up too much space. I want to make sure.
Bro, you the guest. You're supposed to take up the space.
Yeah, but we got Jared and Mtume and Geechee here, and like these are all brilliant people, and I want to make sure that their ideas and questions are also included. But to your point about participating in a system of oppression, right? Which we know the electoral system is, right? Because it was designed by oppressors to serve the interests of the oppressors. And the only benefits that we've ever gotten has been like anomalies or concessions that they have been forced to grant us based on the widespread popular movements of the people that made it unavoidable for them to grant those concessions. But I'm a teacher. I'm a teacher. I'm a black male teacher in a public school system that we know is an oppressive structure in and of itself, right? It is, it's often a site where many young people first experience their over policing, right? It comes from your teacher who exercises state power against you to reframe you away from your powerful African identity into something that is a problem, into something that needs to be punished, into something that needs to be dominated, right? So I exist as a representative within a system that is oppressive. And I could say, you know what? The school system is too backwards. The school system is too racist. The school system does not value Black and brown and transgender and non-binary students. So I'm going to say F it, and I'm going to leave this school system and go outside and do my own thing. And there's merit to that. There's value to that. I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with that. But the majority of Black working class people, the majority of working class people of any identity are going to go through the public school system. Do I want them sitting in a classroom of a white supremacist, or do I want them sitting in a classroom where they can learn about Asada Shakur, where they can talk about use Paulo Freire's educational model in an actual manifested way? Like, do I want that? And if I want that, do I hope that somebody steps up to the plate and does it, or do I go in there and do it myself? Right. So those are the questions that we have to ask ourselves. And again, it's borrowing Steve Biko's philosophy, right, where he says that he created SASO, the South African Students Organization, to give Black students the opportunity to be participants in the game, which they have previously only been spectators, right? We want to transform the relationship of the working class in relationship to their broader political structures. Historically, we've just been people that
they come and pander to us in churches, and they come and pander us, to us in barbershops, and then they want us to come out and vote, and they completely ignore us. We've been disrespected so long because we lack the organization to, exert our political will. And the only way to score a point is to be on the field. You can't score a point from the stands. You got to get on the field. So we don't like it. We think the system is rigged against us. We recognize that there are trillions of dollars that are being stolen from the workers and redistributed into weapons bombing off the coast of Venezuela, weapons that are, using Haiti as a site of colonial punishment, right? We recognize all these things are happening. But if we are not involved in creating the things that we want to see, it's wrong for us. It is foolish of us to expect that those things that we know should exist will materialize on their own. A tree will not grow if the seed is never planted. The seed will not germinate if the soil is not tilled. So our efforts on a daily basis are to create the conditions which our ideas, our aspirations, our hopes, our desires are able to germinate and grow and proliferate and spread and grow further and further. None of that happens in theory. None of that happens in the comment section. None of that happens in your ideas. And your enemy wants you to believe that the things that you want are impossible. The one thing that we have the agency, and again, to borrow from, I'm sorry, I'm a teacher, so I speak a lot. So I apologize on that behalf. But one thing that Edward Said said that I really appreciated was that, the thing that our enemies want us to be is to be incurious, right? To be, not concerned with the well-being of others. And the single thing that each of us has agency over is our ability to refuse to adopt the position that tells us that nothing can be done, that all hope is lost. We have that no matter where we are in the political spectrum, whether you're proletariat, lumpen proletariat, you have the ability to choose to refuse to adopt this cynical, pessimistic ideology about yourself and what your destiny is. You can choose to engage, or you can choose to, what Geechee said earlier, and I'm not going to repeat it, but y'all remember, y'all can go back and rewind and look at what he said. Keep it to yourself if you're not going to be contributing to the betterment of your people.
Man, y'all don't even. I hope people are really understanding what they're getting right now. And and she's gonna be so mad at me. But I just want you to know that my mother just sent me a text with a little fire symbol in it. And just like she never, ever, ever texts me during the show because she doesn't want to distract me. But I had to ask to make sure that my grandparents lived off Gun Hill Road because my grandfather passed when I was like 12, and my grandmother moved to Florida to be with her daughter, to be with one of my aunts so that she had like support and stuff. So I just remember it was a big ass brick building and all the kids used to play like in the front area. And then I was almost sure it was off Gun Hill. So I had to verify. And since she knew I was looking at my phone, I think that's why she did it. My mother does not participate in this process because she's so over it. Like she's so over it. And I promise you, if she lived in the Bronx, she would actually take her ass out and go vote for you. I promise you this. And I could say it without verifying it with her. I hope y'all understand, like, this is why we do this, right? Like, this is like you right now is why every Saturday I'm like, all right, how we gonna get info to the people? This is I'm like, yeah.
I appreciate that.
I want to apologize to Jared. I feel like I interrupted him for having my thought, but I would love to hear some questions and thoughts from you, Jared. Specifically because I feel like there's a connection to your work, your approach, either your book and you running at some time, and then how Andre is showing up. So I would definitely love to hear.
Oh no, I appreciate it. I walked so Andre could run. You know what I'm saying? That's so I appreciate the flowers while I'm still here. No, I mean, I listen, to the extent that there's an overlap, I think in many ways it's because as I understand it, what Andre is doing is I think an improved version of what I and others have tried to do in terms of using electoral politics is in really the only appropriate way. So I mean, if I liked all of the phrasing and all of the approach. I mean, this is how this is how I would like to see more of the arguments go in terms of when elections come up at all. And all week in class when students were asking me, because I had a lot of students, more than I would have thought, honestly, who were exuberant over Mamdani's election, and almost none of them are from New York. So it was all about the broader zeitgeist and what they assumed this meant and means. And without trying to be hostile or belittle anyone, I just kept going back to the same refrain. What suggests to me that this is not going to be what we hope it will be is that we didn't produce him. It's the same thing that we were saying around Obama and everything else. It sounds great, looks great, but we had nothing to do with this. And in this case, by we, I mean whatever, the actual left, and in this case, Black grassroots, diaspora grassroots communities. And so yeah, this to me is the only way to engage electoral politics. I think it's great. It's connected to party work. It's connected to broader politics. There's a clarity around what is being done here. So yeah, no, I don't have much to add other than that. So just great job, and let's continue to support the work and the example.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Is my mic coming in through good? Because I just got a phone call. I'm on my phone, so just let me know if my mic is coming through good.
Yeah.
So yeah, Jared, I envision my work as an educator as the feeder program to the work that you do in your classroom, right? So I like to think of myself as, creating a critical media study within my students to better, understand the forces that are acting against them in service of, ultimately moving into the next stage, whether it's, joining the workforce or, being going to secondary education. So I think your work with this platform, again, I discovered I mix what I like through the Groundings podcast with Musa. Shout out to Musa. And he was talking about I mix what I like and this the myth and propaganda of the Black buying power. It was right around when that book was released during the pandemic. And that brought me to this platform. And then ultimately it was the campaign that my comrade Cam was doing, part of the coalition to free Rochelle McGee, that ultimately made me fill out the application to join the PSL. And the rest is history. But I think spaces like this where Black people can have intentionally, overtly political conversations and really imagine what type of future they want for themselves. These types of platforms are the breeding ground for what ultimately manifested in this platform that you're seeing on the page. So when you go to Andre for the Bronx, like it couldn't have happened if there wasn't a Black Power media and then ultimately a Black liberation media. These things we don't always get to see, and that's part of the challenge of being an educator, being a teacher, is that you don't always get to see the fruits of your labor. But all of us are required to plant the seeds, right? We have to plant the seeds, even if we don't get to see them grow. But if we never plant the seed, then we can't expect anything to come out of it. So I really appreciate this platform. It adds to my knowledge in ways that I cannot really properly articulate. So much value.
Right on. Appreciate all of that. Absolutely. Mtume, were you about to jump on?
Yeah, I want to jump in. Yeah, I mean, when Andre announced his campaign, one of the very first texts I went back to was Lenin's left-wing communism, right? When Lenin was in this argument with various about being involved in the parliamentary process and the revolutionary should or should not do it, is the various ends of it. And, Lenin is very clear, right? Where are the people? How do we get in touch with the people, right? how do we have this conversation? But then Lenin is also clear. It's going to be a mass movement of some sort that's going to overthrow this thing and make socialism happen. So I don't, I think for people who are maybe got it twisted a little bit, I don't think no one here, does not understand that at the end of the day, yes, we'll use the electoral process for consciousness raising. And then also while we're in this capitalist imperialist system, doing the things that we can to help the people and to do things. But at the end of the day, it's going to be about the people, mass movement, revolution, wherever you want to call it, to overthrow capitalism and overthrow this imperialist superstructure. That's going to be the thing. It's not twisted, right? Now, and the other thing with like Mom Donnie, I was having this conversation with some comrades and I was like, look, we could think about him all day, but at the end of the day, the most important thing is to think about the people. Because also, if you're not thinking about the people, that's how they're going to go back to the Democrats. If you spend all your time thinking about Zoran this, Zoran that, right? And just think about him, you know what I'm saying? That's how it's all going to go right into the Democrats, right? And we're in a power struggle. We are, because look at it. They are circling around him, right? Hochul, all of them. They are circling around him. Obama giving them phone calls because they're like, look, they have to self-preserve, right? Now, what Zoran does with that, I don't know. I can't read the man's mind. I don't really care to, right? But what I know is what we need to do is like, look, these people are making a shift. We don't want to make that qualitative shift and get associated with the Democratic Party. We want to make it associated with socialism, mass movement, and, overthrowing this capitalist thing. That's just whack and ain't helping nobody. except for, Peter Thiel and Musk and these dudes. It's helping them a lot. To $1 trillion for Elon Musk, as is now being reported.
Yeah, really quickly, I think this is, so my point of like the Jared and Dre connection, like Jared very succinctly pushed to the nerve of people's response of their understanding of their material conditions and economics and politics and all these things. And even like when although people initially felt some type of way about the myth and propaganda of Black mind power, they're sitting in their expensive ass apartment or their houses that the bank own with their business idea in the other room because it failed, and the motherfuckers are feeling something right now. And when it's time to have conversations about what you're feeling and how and what to do about it, when they was like, well, what's the solution, Jared? And Jared's like, well, I mean, it's gonna take something different, and then he won't explicitly tell you something different because you're not ready to hear what the something different is. But some of these steps would make sense whenever when you bring in Dre's and being able to lay out policy. And I'm telling you, the thing I love about that video, bro, like you had a long conversation around clear things before you even mentioned the word capitalism and socialism, and it illustrated the perfect lay into like, this ain't something that I'm gonna give you. This is something that we gonna build. And so part of the answer is, the solution is, I don't know exactly. I know this shit is wrong, and we're gonna have to figure some shit out, and you're gonna be a part of figuring it out. So that's how I see.
But he hit the thing though. We've already produced all this wealth. They're the only ones that have all of it. And that to me is the bar of bars and should just be on like a running loop to break through some of these ridiculous narratives and claims. Yeah. Excellent work.
Yeah, no, thank you for that. We've been very intentional about making the things accessible, right? Like it's so often that we're expected to just go along with the get along and not have the ability to exert our own will. And I think about even this conversation that happens all the time about like Marxism being a white thing, and like that. I think that's also obviously it's an expression of Black people wanting to be able to define themselves as themselves, which I think is important. And I think centering the man Marx as the source of this idea is it creates obviously a knee-jerk reaction, right? Shout out to Sizzler, I have no white God, right? So when you talk about how this white man is the person that actually has the solution to you, a lot of Black people are going to turn away from that. But when you understand that we are existing under capitalism, it's world capitalism, right? It's imperialism. And the person with the understanding of capitalism is a European. They understood that system, and that is the system. If we existed under a different system, then maybe a more appropriate starting point for people would be other than Marx. But because we live under capitalism, because capitalism orders all of the experiences that we have in our life, I mean, I got to pay my light bill in a few days. And I know that as the season goes on, as it gets colder, that bill is going to shoot up to $600-700, right? So who is best equipped to give me an understanding and a framework of what that thing is? If there's somebody else, if there's another explanation, then that person and that explanation should be put in the forefront. But Marx explained it very well, and that idea did not just live in Marx, right? There are more global South people that have used Marxist ideas to great effect than have Europeans. So like the idea that we're still in 2025 arguing about whether or not Marxism is European or not is something that I hope is again a product, a byproduct of the underdevelopment of the consciousness of the workers in this country. And we have to rescue our intellectual tradition. We have to rescue our ability to actually engage in political and ideological struggle. Because if all we do is exercise our bodies for the benefit of the capitalists, then we are beasts. We are mere machines. We are mere objects. It is our political life, the expression of our aspirations, our spirituality, our culture. That's what makes us human. The ability to labor is not what makes us human. It is our ability to engage in principled political and ideological struggle and development. That's what makes us human. And again, the campaign is about bringing the humanity back into the working class and allowing us to decide what is the color, what is the shade, what is the formation, what is the sound, what is the gait, the behavior of our humanity. Right now, we don't get to decide that. Right now, all we get to decide is how long we get to subsist before our checking runs out. Right now, all we get to decide is which oppressor am I going to give my monthly wages to. Right, those are the decisions that we're making. Who do I give? What kind of food do I buy? How much can I afford? Is the primary thought process in our minds, and we have so much creativity, so much innovation, so much ideas in our mind that are capable of transforming the world, and we can't access that because we are toiling away for a meager existence. And again, the only way for us to transform that is together. So to the point about, Mamdani and what he is or isn't able to do, that's a secondary question. The primary question is, who are we and what do we want and what are we willing to do to actually make those things real? All of us have dreams and aspirations beyond capitalism, and we need to feed those things. And the way to feed those and to nurture those is through organization, principled organization. Like, let's have debates, let's have discussions. Let's not spend time in comment sections, poo-pooing. Oh, for a while, I guess, it was cute to say, oh, well, look at all you guys happy that this person, like, at a certain point, no one wants to hear you. No one wants to hear what you're saying if all you're offering is this, pessimistic view that things don't get better. Like, no one has ever changed the world through those means. Study the people that have changed the world. Study the Ella Bakers of the world. Study the Claudia Joneses of the world. Look what they did. Look at the formations. Look at William L. Patterson's. Look at the people who functionally engaged, the Amy Ashford Garveys. Look at the people who engage in the struggle to make their world better and do what they did. Update what they did. Do it in the Bronx, do it in Brooklyn, do it in Queens, do it in Charleston, right? Do it in Washington Heights. Do it wherever you are and see what results you get. And then modify and then add into it and say, okay, well, that didn't work. I'm gonna try it a little bit this way. But start with something that works and build a prototype for the vehicle that's going to get you the results that you want. It's out there. But your enemy wants you to believe that capitalism has something for you. Your enemy wants you to believe that you can produce something that is not colonized while you yourself are colonized. That is a fool's errand. That is a backwards task. There is no getting your money up first and then you buy the politicians. That is a backwards Richard Nixonian ideology that is imposed upon you, and you deserve to have an ideology that is powered by your ancestors, an ideology that's powered by the working class. And that ideology, the ideology of the working class, is socialism. It always has been. Whether you want to call it that or not, it's always been a collective structure, which is socialism.
Well, we all know Nixon was a better white than Marx. So if we don't follow one,
I can't stand you.
but
I mean, that's
gonna be in the clip. Somebody gonna put that.
I mean, Jab, you would find some brothers who will say that.
Yeah, who'll say that.
Well, that seems to be
like,
that's so much of the argument.
Take.
That's so much of the argument that is dressed up as a black radical critique of Eurocentrism, but it's ultimately a defense of Nixon and Rockefeller and all of them. And
it always,
yeah.
And I always hate to say, whenever I hear that critique, I'm saying, so you're trying to tell me that Walter Whitey was whitewashed? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I'm saying? I know it did happen, right? Jab, no, I know you're going to say.
It happened. Yeah. I mean, one of my crowning, unfortunately, negative experiences in grad school was that there was a professor and a few grad students at Africana who raised questions around my positive reference to how Europe underdeveloped Africa. And they said, well, but he was a Marxist. Rodney was a Marxist. And it is unfortunately something that's, happens.
See, what Jared said was right. Y'all got to think in y'all Umar cap. See, when he said Nixon is a better white than Marx, what he's saying is in order to put on whiteness, you have to give up your humanity. So in that case, Nixon is a better white than Marx.
I need Geechee to do the Umar Says clips. We gotta do an Umar Says clips with Geechee.
I can't stand any of y'all. I'm done. I just want to quickly, because I'm seeing some people who seem to be a little, I don't want to say confused in the chat, but the pushback. And I'm all for pushback, but I want people to be very clear that the first thing that Andre talked about was the strategy of being outside and talking to the people and engaging the people where they are and trying to bring them along to a space where they can understand the premises of socialism. Like the process of this is to engage people directly who are part of the voting population so they can be moved not just to vote, but to organize and to participate in a political strategy of education that allows them to understand that capitalism is killing them, right? So I'm spelling this out in the way that I'm spelling it out, because for people who rightfully, because there was one of the questions was like, well, how does one person in Congress change things for real? And one person in Congress cannot change things for real, but one person in Congress can block and fuck up a lot of stuff in Congress, right? Like there are plenty of votes that go through by one, right? So just for the record, right? One person can do enough damage to make people ask the question about where that person came from, what their political strategy is, where their basis in understanding and ideology, and why they don't like capitalism, why they're against colonialism. That is how you engage to have people ask the right questions, to then maybe Andre's not in there by himself, and maybe there's enough people in there to create an actual block, right? Like this is the point, is not just us saying like, this dude Andre's running and we like him and we're going to support him. There is a strategy that engages political education, engages understanding socialism, engages even understanding communism, like understanding all of these things that are rooted in a fight to break the back of capitalism, period. Like that's the point. The point is not just to send Andre out there and hope he collects enough votes. The point is to send Andre out there to talk to the people so they can be mobilized, so they can be woken up to this idea that they don't have to be the hamster on the wheel that I talk about all the time. So I want people to engage in that thought process, that this is not like a simple, like we just trying to send one person in and we just trying to do this one thing. This is about engaging an entire community of people about the things that, one, they likely don't already understand. and two, that there is a pathway to something better. And it's just a matter of being open to that idea. And Andre, feel free to correct me if I'm wrong on any of that.
Let me just add quickly, if I can, that I think that just to emphasize what I think is another important part of this to emphasize is not just what Renee was saying about the potential of what could happen if somebody gets elected, but it's the demonstration of the method behind it as an example for actual community strength and organizational power. To say that even win, lose, or whatever, it beyond just the individual campaign, to say this is how we should be engaging, and and others could duplicate the process elsewhere as well, because I think that method of just saying we're not just going to wait for someone like a Mamdani to show up or someone to be presented to us from the already established elements of these parties to say, here is your best hope. So that's another reason why I think it's important to support these efforts. But in addition to what Renee was saying about the individual campaign, yeah.
Can I just say two things really briefly? Cynicism is like lubricant for the capitalist gears. And this is something that they farm cynicism in the minds and the hearts of the working people in this country. Earlier this week, I try to provide fruits for my students in my classroom because I think it's a good thing to do. And I was by the water fountain washing off some of the grapes that I was giving to my students. And another teacher walked by and he was like, "You're gonna wash the grapes in that water? Like, you know how much chemicals are in that water?" And I didn't respond, but I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, so what you're saying is that you would rather that I don't wash it, right? Like you're saying that until I have this perfect filtered alkaline water system somehow plumbed into the building, that I should not try to present my students with grapes in that are washed, right? And that just is a political expression of this ideology that we all have. Is like, if the thing isn't perfect, I'm not going to do it. If the thing isn't going to result in the type of transformation that I want right now, I'm not going to do it. And I think that ultimately serves to demobilize people. It serves to make people feel that they are justified in not participating in changing the reality for their people. And I hope to invite those people to come in, bring your frustrations, bring your pessimism, because the reality is the only way through that is together. The only way to get out of that pessimism or this doom spiral that we are encouraged to adopt and embrace is to talk to your neighbors and to recognize that you're not alone. Capitalism alienates you. Capitalism makes you feel like you are by yourself. That's why these ICE agents are able to do what they're doing, because a lot of us are feeling like if we go out there and resist, then no one's going to come to get our defense. If we do anything that doesn't make, Donald Trump happy, then no one is going to come to our defense. And the best way to destroy that ideology is through practice, and it is through being in community with other people. Fear is individual, but courage is collective, right? So the more we are organized, the more we recognize that we are not alone in this world, the more courageous we'll be able to be, the more bold we'll be able to be, the more we'll be able to actually engage in this process, this very important process of world making. The capitalist class is in a state of crisis. They are not able to maintain the system in the way that they want it to. So they have to crack down on dissent. They have to make it feel like anybody that speaks out against them is going to be disappeared. And they need our participation. They need our pessimism to allow them to carry out their agenda without any resistance. And the best thing that we can do is to, again, rediscover who we are, to rediscover our love in revolution, as George Jackson, right? We could fight all we want. That's cool. But if we're not actually in a space where we're putting forth what we want, all we're going to end up doing is running away from what we don't want. And they need us to do that. They need us to vote against our best interests instead of voting for, and not just voting, but actually taking an active role in making our interests realizable. Zoran Mamdani was able to win. Oh, this is the piece that I wanted to make, the point that I wanted to make. Thank you for obliging me in my long-windedness. Zohran Mamdani came out and you could argue that single-handedly as a politician, he forever changed the way that Palestine is discussed in a public manner. But the only reason that Zohran Mamdani was able to have this response to Palestine as something that didn't kill his career was because there were regular students that were putting their careers on the line in encampments. There were Palestinians, mothers, fathers, sons, and daughters resisting the Zionist occupation in Palestine. There were teachers and regular everyday people going out to the streets week after week, doing teach-ins, having speak-outs, engaging in political education, fundraising, and doing the thing, the organizing that made it impossible for those pro-Zionist narratives to actually have any room to germinate. Those seeds cannot germinate because the people organized themselves and consistently over the past 2 years plus made it so that those talking points were obsolete. So the same way that we made socialism a possibility for a Democratic candidate, we have the possibility to make socialism a real thing through those same methods, right? Going out, consistently talking with your people, consistently building relationships with your neighbors, talking to the people that line at the grocery store. Find opportunities to talk to your people because your people are out there and they need you and they need a place to hold and to transform their hopes and dreams. And that's what organization offers them. And we believe that the organization that can produce this transformation society deserves is a Marxist-Leninist organization. That's what the PSL offers. And we invite all of you to challenge us. Please talk to us. Bring your ideas, your constructive criticisms, and let's build something together in real life. Let's hold each other and rebuild a vision that we know is possible.
And I want to just tack on real quick into May. And you're aware that I did this. Like, I went on a mission after Jared did like a show on the socialism book, the reconstruction of why am I forgetting on the full name?
Socialist Reconstruction. Yeah.
Socialist Reconstruction, yes. And so because of Jared, I read that book. And because I read that book, I brought it to Green Party of New Jersey. And because we decided we wanted to do a book club on that book, we brought it to PSL New Jersey. And Green Party New Jersey and PSL New Jersey did a 6-week session on socialist reconstruction, right? Because the goal was to teach the things, right? And so I bring this up to say, like, there are so many possibilities and opportunity for us to decide to work together in the effort of teaching our people all the things, right? And I listen, I will figure out a way to put my general email in the chat. I want people to engage in this process. If you want to know how we made that socialist reconstruction group work, please email me, right? Like, I am happy to share information because the information needs to be out there. And the only thing I want to add about Mamdani, again, for all of my like trepidation with people who get support from Obama, AOC, Bernie, all these people who are useless, right? This win, in my opinion, my thoughts on it have very little to do with Mamdani as much as it has to do with the fact that 1 million people were not scared off by the word socialism. And once you have 1 million people in New York, right? Once you have 1 million people in New York City, right, who are not afraid of the word socialism, you can at least find some ways to engage with people who have opened the door to the possibility of the conversation. For me, that's the excitement. The excitement is, oh, you can have, like, Andre can, when I used to go out, when I was part of Socialist Alternative, and we used to go out to Park Slope and set up a table, people would wig out that we were out there talking about socialism, right? You may have a different experience now when you go out in New York and attempt to engage in these on the street conversations with people. So these are the things that I want people to consider as like, you know, like as a point of how do we utilize this moment? Don't worry about Mamdani. Mamdani's going to do what Mamdani's going to do. We can't, there is no way to, to prevent what's going to happen. People going to have to try and hold him to the fire. We have no idea how this is all going to pan out. All of those things, it's going to be what it is, right? But what you can do is utilize this moment of celebration for his win to organize. That's what you can do.
Renee, you just remind me of something. Y'all ever been in a house where there's a bunch of walls and not enough windows and doors? There was somebody or a few people intentionally building walls when they should have been building doors. I too took Jared's socialist reconstruction study and tried to bring it into a black space who has a bunch of political labels. And I said, everybody tell me their political label. I had survivalists, I had anarchists, I had all these other things. And I like these few people's, and this probably is credit to Emil Cabral's argument around why they chose to call themselves a party as opposed to a movement, because parties have a lot of unity, clarity, and aim towards a direction, and movements could be vague as hell. And I said, well, we should probably study this thing because this is a group of people who are unified and moving in a direction, and this is the policies or process, the way they want to move in a direction. And initially, there was some Hubert Harrison arguments in 1920 where race first, and class, and all this stuff. But people didn't want to read books from white folks or white folks initially. But then we still kind of press forward, like, no matter what you want to read, these folks have an answer for how they're going to respond to U.S. imperialism. You have all these different names that you call yourself, and you're a part of one group, even though you're different political leanings. What is your response to U.S. imperialism? Use them as an example. And the study was kind of generative, I think, because it built off. We have this spiraling type methodology for political education. Like we start one place and then we kind of build on. And but I still remember like the initial responses to it, like, we ain't reading no white people shit.
Again, I think, first of all, I think it's a good reminder to me that I and we need to finish that. And Renee, I know we talked about picking up where I left off and reviewing the remaining chapters here, but more discussion of the book. And again, not as a mechanism of promoting Eurocentrism, whites, or Marx, but as a practical guide to what the next steps in building a better world might look like.
Right.
But also, I think, to kind of, to be like, I'm still not convinced a lot of people who are critical of the idea of engaging Marxism and some sort of socialism have read much about it. So I think it's a great way of saying, what you think about socialism. And in many ways, it's a great debunk of a lot of the popular mythologies about that. And at the end of the day, we are in a society that needs to figure out, we live in a world that even if it's an entirely Black African community, that needs to figure out, how are you going to house, healthcare, employ, redistribute, define wealth, et cetera, and so forth. And that book, I think, does a great job of doing all of that, really, and giving some good suggestions. And by the way, I think Pete Hegseth and all of them have read it because they've done the opposite. The book is in there talking about, redefining war departments and health department, and they're over here like, nah, we're not doing Department of Defense, it's war. So they're like running off in the other direction. They're like, we can rebrand and relabel and redefine offices and institutions and names. It's the Gulf of America now, all of this stuff, and what socialist reconstruction does is, I think, a very practical, this is how we might redefine this world going in a very different direction. And in many ways, just to wrap for me in terms of the contradictions that Marx helped us, become clear on, is that the contradiction that, one of the contradictions that capitalism demonstrates is that it can produce its own end in terms of demonstrating how the world can actually produce all that it needs, and now it's just a question of redistribution. So Hegseth and them, I think, they're demonstrating their own downfall. So word, we could just call it something else. We could just do something else. Okay, let's go. It's Department of Give Me My Shit.
Run your shit, right?
Run your shit.
Run your shit.
The Department of come up off that.
Come up off that. I like that. That's
You
what I'm
about to
saying.
get got, right?
I'm trying to work in that department. I'm trying to work in the department of come up off that.
I think something that's also still relevant to this conversation. I know we mentioned Marx, but it's important to say Marx, Engels, and Lenin all had very similar ideas around electoral politics, if not the same. And as Jared was talking, I felt like when you were saying something about Marx, it's like people going into archive of all the Marx things, and in there's a thermometer, and they're like, "What's this?" And they're like, they don't even deal with the thermometer. And Marx's thermometer and Lenin and Engels is how to use electoral politics as a thermometer, and as Ntumi said, political education, but to have a scientific a reading of when to pick up those little things, those tools. So I just
and again, these are the same people that will be happy to quote literally sometimes in the same argument I've been having with them. They'll quote Warren Buffett and
they love Milton Friedman, man.
Milton Friedman.
They will love to throw some Milton Friedman at you.
Or what's his name that used to do Russia Today and the Bitcoin stuff? That was my other thing, Max. They hate Marx, but they like Max. And it's like, so which whites? which whites? Because it's like if it's none, then let it be none. But you keep bringing up these other whites, like which whites? All right, anyway.
Yeah. So I want to say one last thing that I gotta bounce out.
No, we all got to bounce. Actually,
the thing. I mean, Renee and Andre said it both, but I just want to join organization. If you have ideas, if you have critiques, if you have criticisms, if you see that maybe there's something that an edge on this that you think that needs to be, sharpened, get in organization, get in conversation, right? Look, I'm 45 years old, man. I was not in organization for a lot of my life, right? You're never too old. You're never too young. Well, maybe might be too young. You gotta ask your parent if you under 18, right? You know what I'm saying? Nice save. I got that one right. But you know what I mean in the spirit. Like, get in organization, get in conversation. Andre's gonna be out here these next 3 weeks, man. Come, especially if you're in the district or someone in the district or you're near the district, come through. This is not just going to be Andre just yapping at you. This is going to be Andre listening to what y'all have to say also, your ideas, right? This is why he's out there in the streets, because he wants to listen to y'all. You know what I'm saying? And we out here, we talking to people and we're gathering conversation. Before we started, we were gathering information, getting data. You know what I'm saying? So I just encourage people, get in organization. Like, the qualitative shift is going to happen from the people. And that's what I think we've all been trying to emphasize. Like, if we focus on individuals, that's demagoguery. And, it can happen on all ends. Trust me.
And my campaign team will crucify me if I do not mention and uplift the need for donations. All right. So we are and that's special for him too, man. And that's a side conversation. But we have to, the only way for us to maintain in our independence, our ability to take the principal position, to have these open and honest conversations about socialism and transforming society, is because we are an independent, grassroots, people-funded organization. So if you live in New York City, if you live in the Bronx, you're probably going to see posters, Andre for the Bronx, for Congress. You're going to see them up. You're going to see palm cards in the delis and the bodegas. All of that is made possible through the funding that we're able to connect through donations, right? And because it is everything is above board, we have to track and monitor all of our accounts with what we receive and what we spend. So everything is all legit. And you can go to andreforthebronx.nyc, and there's a volunteer link on there and a donation link. And I hope that you put all of your positive energy to both of those, right? So if you don't got a lot of money in your pocket, that's fine. Share it with people. I know all of y'all got rich aunties and uncles and whatnot. All the bougie want to be capitalists in your family. Like, let them put something towards it, right? Let them put something on it. But yeah, and those of you that don't have that, have the conversations, bring the platform, talk about one point with your neighbors, sign up to volunteer. We need people all around the country to make this movement possible. And that's the only way that any of this is going to be possible, is through your participation. So thank y'all. I thank you. And please continue to investigate, interrogate, criticize, and make this a real thing, because that's what we're after.
I really appreciate that you came. I just quickly, Jared, if you don't mind, I'm going to drop this picture in the chat real quick, if you don't mind, just so people can understand the absurdity of why, when I first saw Andre's picture, I was trying to figure out like why.
Yo.
So
It's already been concretized.
Listen, I want one. I found the pic. So I want people to understand that I met Jared in person and Andre at the same event, because me and Jared had never met in person before. And this was such a dope experience. And we were on DM, and I'm watching you on Brianna Joy Gray, and I'm like, damn, this brother looks familiar. Like, why does he look so familiar? What? I felt like such a dumbass once I figured it out. I was like, oh, okay. I was just glad I didn't like put it in writing on the email thread. Like, why do I know you? Because that would have been even worse. So at least I caught it.
Shout out to my
beforehand.
wife Angelica, and that was my middle
Yes.
son Asim. He's much bigger now, but shout out to her, again, making all of this possible. She's right now wrangling all three of the boys, trying to take them to the park to keep them from tearing up the house. Because I'm in my boys' room right now. You don't know if you see the decor in the background, but yeah, this is a complete family team effort, and I'm eternally grateful for her love and support. So yeah, thank you for giving me the opportunity to uplift her.
No, right on. Salute to you and the family. Yeah. Sorry.
And
Go
good
ahead,
luck.
Renee.
And good luck. We'll have to bring you back. We'll do some updates. Maybe we'll do like a socialism thing. We'll figure out Intume's schedule so that we can make sure that you always the worst one to try and schedule anything around. And so I truly I appreciate the time. I'm gonna link you on DM because I want to make sure that I like have a better like direct communication. And I
No,
appreciate you.
we should do a show from his victory party.
Ooh,
We should do a
yeah,
live
we should
victory
do that.
party
Facts.
show.
Well, we're gonna have a campaign launch, so there's probably opportunities for us to engage and really put all that love in one
Yeah.
room before then. So yeah, that's definitely coming. And those of y'all, if y'all got venues, if you know people in the Bronx, vendors and all of that would be open to these politics and open to hosting Andre for the Bronx campaign events, please hit the website. If you know me personally, hit me with a DM, whatever. But like, get in touch with us. Let's tap in. Let's put our resources together to create what we want.
So what day we all meeting in the Bronx?
You the one that has to fly, so that we're
I'm
gonna
here
have to plan
every
around
day.
Gucci.
Hey,
We're gonna have to plan that around
day.
you because you gotta fly.
Tomorrow. Right now.
Per day.
It's very easy for that to happen.
All right, so bet that's gonna be. We're gonna have to. Yeah, we're gonna have to do something. We'll figure it out.
All right, everybody. Just salute to everybody here and our earlier guests, and to the politics of soda.
That's incredible. I love Rhonda.
Peace.
Wait, what?
And that's bad because I know Khalees. But
of course you do. Of course you do.
Went to high school with Khalees. That's
Of course you did.
Oh wait,
Khalees look like
do that right now. We can't do
look like
that
she's
right
building
now.
the OnlyFans in Africa right now, bro. I don't know what's going on.
no, we about to wait till it may a week from today we're gonna do a Saturday Night Live and look at her it's a couple months old now. We're gonna look at her visit with EYL to Africa. Her and Earn Your Leisure in Africa. So we're gonna have some fun. But I couldn't help it. It's just one of my favorite. It's just one of my favorite moments in watching her discussions of Kenya and repatriation and all of this other whatever. It was
Tume about to get a text. You know I'm nosy. You can't be saying stuff like that and then just like we can't do it right now.
We can answer the chat.
That's wild. We will have to get into Mtume's high school adventures.
There's a video of Little Duval with Johnny Diamond or whatever the guy name is, and Shaq pulling out dead lobsters out of their lake to claim that he has lobsters in his land, and it's literally dead lobsters. He picked them out, put them on the ground, and so we need to probably throw that in that Khalees video.
So, folks, this is a great time again to like, share, subscribe, support the Patreon, support Andre's campaign. Links in the show description. Support the work of our other comrades around internal colonialism. Those links are in the show description as well. And make sure you've signed up to Mtume's Patreon and also. But Renee, everyone, great job, great show. Thanks again to the undefeated chat. Thank you as well. And as always, peace only if you're willing to fight for it, like Fred Hampton used to say. And we'll see you next week with more Saturday with Renee.